super deep into the game. So I don't know if that would be progression or not. Um, again, this is an open mode race and sword.
Did I say, speaking of weapon, there it is right in Link's house.
I do like this play by Bonta and Shady Force saying, yep, we have a weapon, we're immediately going to go ahead and let's start the escape, at least thinking about diving in. There's a lot of things that you can get through here, and it makes it a whole lot easier when you can route it in with, and you have a weapon. So I like the heads-up play here. Looks like Wayne's going to be the only one heading over here to Kakariko proper, and he's the only one without a sword yet. So we'll see what pays off for these runners right now. We're already seeing some interesting routing.
And it looks like Uncle just sharing his life savings with us. And a little bit of love as well in the Uncle base.
All right, I saw the 6 crystal up in Tower of Hera. I saw Eastern Palace as the 4 crystal. I did not happen to see what was in Desert. Did you happen to get that?
I did not, unfortunately.
This time, unfortunately, Wolfman K's the Uncle had I think just rubies. So in open mode, Uncle is not guaranteed a weapon. It was only in the standard mode where Uncle is guaranteed a weapon.
But it looks like Boyne now, after checking Lost Woods and finding only a lot of love, is he's going to do his checks for escape as well now.
I really kind of like this play because early Kakariko is nice, but you have to have at least some resources to get through it. You have to have a few bombs. You have to have some money to buy bombs. If not, it helps to go into Kakariko even maybe with a bottle or the flute or something. You're not just going in there completely resource starved.
Exactly. That's a really bad feeling when you go into Kakariko with no bombs, not enough rupees to buy bombs or pay the bottle vendor, and you have to leave all those checks behind then. And Bonta here about to show us what Princess Zelda left behind in her cell.
And so far, this escape sequence, other than a bunch of money, has given us almost nothing, unfortunately.
Yep, so far all we've seen is some pieces of heart and some money. In fact, no bombs on any of the runners yet either, even. So that makes a Kakariko play still somewhat iffy. As we see Solsky, it looks like he might be going to check South Shore here.
I think Solsky is actually doing a move that was popularized not all that long ago. I think last year in the fall tournament, from Pink Kitty Rose opting to in these sorts of seeds to go over to Eastern Palace for the exact same reason as I said before, because Kakariko has a lot of other checks that you can do if you have some other resources like the bottle and the flute. If you can clear out Eastern Palace, at least as best as you can, or the Eastern area with those checks, and then go over to Kakariko, you can sometimes route in just going immediately to the Dark World if you're lucky. So this is a variant of some early game routing that really started last year and was popularized by Pink Kitty Rose that really made a splash into the tournament and made it quite far into the finals.
And there's a death warp for Boyne as we see what's in the back of Shahasrala's hut. And, oh, that's gotta feel bad. Bought 10 bombs, gets 3 bombs.
Yeah, it happens.
Interesting. Boyne going into the dark back of Escape. So everything he finds here at this point will be out of logic. But he may end up getting an edge just by doing this.
Solsky continuing on. He's going to be checking that South Shore area. Meanwhile, Shady and Bonta are immediately in Kakariko now. Looks like Shady actually has has no bombs, so just risking, hoping to find some bombs here. Bonta went and is going to purchase some bombs first thing.
Oh, and there's a glove in Blind's hut.
And that bomb gamble paid off because there was some bombs there. Good job, Shady Force.
Speaking of bombs, there's more bombs. And a lamp in the chicken hut.
That's interesting. Not only is a fire source. Oh, Blaine does not have the bombs to get through in the back. That's unfortunate there. Ether Medallion for Shady Force.
And there's our second glove in Mini Moldorm.
As well as Moon Pearl in the well. That's our Dark World access, folks.
Yep. We have a very, very early Dark World access now. And a second medallion. So now we've got Bombos and Ether. We could be seeing some very early low health Dark World dungeon runs. And Flute in the back of Escape. So this kind of tells me that we may be seeing a very early Meyer play with Pearl, Flute, and Gold Mitts.
Well, I mean, we will be able to check Meyer's shed at the very least. Getting into Meyer itself is going to require either the hook shot or the boots, and we have neither, unfortunately, right now. So we can't even get past the first room in there. But it's intriguing, at any rate. It's something to keep on our radar that we're only an item away from there.
Absolutely. It just tells me that it's very likely that we may see either an early hook shot or early boot.
And think Shady Force just showed us that the mirror is actually on the library ledge. So boots are going to be pretty important, I think, for this one, guys.
And while we see everyone still doing kind of their early checks, it's very interesting how even within the first 10 minutes of the race, paths have diverged so wildly.
Well, and we kind of predicted this early on. Remember, these guys are in a race for their tournament lives for the SG Live event out in Herndon, Virginia. So they're trying to get this great score so they can get their expenses paid and try to be in the top three. Here's what I'm concerned about for Blaine, though. So Blaine went through the escape sequence dark, but couldn't get any bombs. He very well might abandon that spot for as long as he can, kind of taking the gamble to not go back there, at least because he's already tried to get there and he didn't have the bombs. So with the flute being there, that might not be a good sign for Dwayne. It's still only less than 10 minutes into the race, and I don't want to make too big of predictions, but just my instincts tells me Dwayne's going to put that off for a while.
Absolutely. Now, if Misery Meyer ends up being a pendant, Flute won't absolutely be a necessity. While it will hurt him, it is possible that he might actually never end up going back there.
All right, so we're still finishing up all of our early checks. You know, about the only early locations. We do have Dark World access. No one has gone into the Dark World quite yet.
That's because no one actually has quite got Dark World access themselves yet. We have no mode for Dark World, but no one has picked up both glove upgrades quite yet.
All right, I think Shady is going to be the first one. Nope, Dwayne is actually going to be the first one to show us Ice Rod Cave. First spot over here.
And just some Zora money there for Dwayne and Ice Rod. And chat correcting me that Solsky does have Dark World access. He did get both club.
Yep, and Shady Force is now there joining him as well. So it'll be interesting to see if we immediately go to a Dark World or if we opt to do something else, finishing some of these other checks. Not really much left in the Light World that we have. We could theoretically go up the mountain and get at least a couple checks in with the Old Man and to see what's on Spectacle Rock, but we don't have much other access to the mountain at this point in time, so don't know. Solsky is doing another one of those low percentage checks. Looks like we're going over here to Agina's cave, although I thought I saw someone else check that earlier.
Dwayne already checked it and it was nothing of value.
Blaine, meanwhile, proved me wrong, which, you know, happens, and got that fluke.
And I'm sure Solsky feels great about picking up that single rupee there from Agina. And it looks like Solsky is going to check Meyer Shed and what pendant we need. Oh, wait. Pendant in Misery Meyer. Red pendant for Misery Meyer.
That could be interesting. Bombos to get into the front door. Again, we still don't necessarily have access to get through the front door, but it'll come.
And Meyer Shed is bombs and more bombs.
Shady is going to be the first one to show us up on the mountain. Looks like he has it set up. He's delivering the Old Man. If he could stop falling down holes. It's okay, Shady.
It's the newest speedrun strat. It's the fall down hole speedrun strat. It's gotta be.
You know what? I always presume that people know more than me when they're doing the speed runs, so sounds legit.
Oh, the Old Man had the red meringue there.
And looks like he wasn't necessarily looking to get much further than that. He just wanted to turn that in for the save and quit location.
Yep, and Shady is going to be our first one into the Dark World. As we see both Bonta and Solsky doing the same thing, getting their checkpoints up on Death Mountain, but it looks like they're going to see what's on Spectacle Rock.
Not a bad check, and you get, not only do you get to see what's on Spectacle Rock, but you can also get the item that's in this cave and the hint, which might be useful. I hope it is.
So money up on top of Spectacle Rock. And money inside Spectacle Rock. Chat saying that they think hints are deactivated.
Oh, I had forgotten about that point. Thank you. I've been doing so many dailies, I forgot that hints were deactivated for this run. So thank you, Chad. All right, looks like Solsky is joining Shady Force into the Village of Outcasts. We're getting a C-shaped house check. No real reason to go up into Skullwoods as of yet. We don't have, much of anything that can help us up there. So I like redirecting and going right on down to Village of Outcasts and even into Thieves Town. It's a crystal dungeon, and we can clear most of it. But man, going in there without the hammer makes me nervous for that one treasure chest check.
And I also saw that it's green pendant in Ice Palace there.
And there's the key. The small key is the first, the second treasure. I'm sorry, and that's gonna be rough.
That is, that means we could very likely see something in there. Now, of course, it could be the map or the compass, so we don't necessarily know that it's an item, but that's definitely got to be in the back of Shady Force's mind.
Meanwhile, Solsky's just going to the south route. He's not dipping his toe into Thieves Town as of yet. And there's the big key in its vanilla location. He did pick up half magic as well while Solsky is digging.
Yes, and that half magic could come back to pay off dividends, being that in these earlier dungeons, I have seen some bombos used to simply clear more difficult rooms out when they're low on health.
And Solsky is doing the Jeremiah World Tour right away. Picked up our Froggy Pal and is going to be checking in, going to see what's on Stumpy, and then over here to Hype Cave, I suspect.
Absolutely, and I absolutely like this play by Solsky to get some of these earlier safer checks out of the way before diving into dungeons and having to possibly leave items behind. Just very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very safe and, yeah, I guess that would be the best word to put is safe play from Solsky.
All right, so in Hype Cave, we have 50 rupees. Full heart, there's our boots. Okay, and given how important boots are, we know to getting the mirror. Yeah, saving and quitting and immediately going in and turning both Jeremiah in to be able to get whatever is on the Smiths, and then turning around and getting your mirror. That's going to be pretty significant for Solsky. I love this play already.
Looks like he's going to check King's Tomb first.
Bonta is also doing that Hype Cave check, so he's right there with Solsky.
And there's our first bottle, so he can also check Sick Kid in this routing.
That is some convenient routing right there. Okay, so on Shady Force's side, he has one regular item. Like, he has the compass to go and then one other item. So we're going to see if Blind drops the compass, then there is something that's been abandoned there in that big treasure chest. Solsky finding the Master Sword, Sword of Evil's Bane, just piled under some rocks.
And Blind telling us the wonderful pun today of broken pencils are pointless.
Oh, Solsky was trying to go check. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Sorry, Solsky. The Jeremiah does not like it when you take him into strange caves. And I didn't see what it was that Blind dropped, but it was certainly not the compass. As we see Sick Kid having a sword. Maybe he's not Sick Kid this time. Maybe he's Injured Kid.
Yeah, so the rule with the Smith is that you can take him into any place that has one exit. So, like into any house, into a lot of different caves if they have one exit. But if they have two exits, for example, dropping into it from outside and then you have the cave inside, yeah, he doesn't like to go there.
Chat saying that Blind had a shield. Okay. So we have Solsky with the mirror, the boots, and a fire source, meaning now he can finish Desert, which is a pendant dungeon, but I'm kind of wondering if, with all the items we've been seeing pointing to both kind of Misery Mire and Desert this early, I'm wondering if we might actually see a Ped Seed.
Don't jinx it, my man. Don't jinx it. I'm seeing the Ice Rod over on Bonta's side. Was Ice Rod in someplace over here? I'm seeing Ice Rod in Desert Palace from our wonderful tracker, Sean. Thanks so much. Chat saying Fire Rod, so as soon as we get a menu pause from Bonta, we'll be able to see that, or as soon as someone else comes in. Solsky, though, unafraid, he is going to be diving into Misery Mire right now. This is a gutsy play. Pendant Mire, sub 30 minutes. You just got access to it. We'll see.
Yep, all of chat saying yes, it's the fire rod, not the ice rod. And with that fire rod, we do see Bonta heading straight towards Skull Woods.
Yeah, not a bad play at all. He'll be able to go ahead and clear everything out. It's interesting. Bonta did not do the other kind of etc. checks that were unlocked by the boots in terms of getting both the sword upgrade that was in Bonk Rocks and in King's Tomb, which had our first bottle, which gave a Sick Kid with another sword upgrade. So you could get two sword upgrades really quickly, and that would help Bonta, but he is not doing that at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, so he'll be doing Skull Woods with but a fighter's sword. And we all know the most well-balanced boss in the game, Mothula, is, with a fighter's sword is even amazing.
All right, so Solsky's still moving through. He does not have the fire rod, so he's doing this with just the lamp, which can be a little bit daunting. I haven't seen any of the items, though. Keep in mind, he does not have the Cane of Samaria, so he won't be able to get to the boss anyway.
And we see Blaine now headed into Hype Cave to get his boots. Blaine is also the only one who found the flippers.
Where was that? Oh, in Skullwoods? Okay.
Yeah, in Skullwoods.
Yeah, I agree with Jet. Bonta should be finding that soon. But man, we're still under 30 minutes into this. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of route divergence here. These guys are going crazy for all sorts of different stuff right now.
And Shady is headed through Death Mountain now. Looks like he's gonna get a few of these one-off checks that you can get.
Shady doing that bomb jump very well. That's the longest bomb jump that you can do in the game because you can kind of skip off the wall a little bit and get kind of one block further than you would normally be able to get under the circumstances. So very nicely done there by Shady Force.
Yep, and it looks like we also see Shady Force heading towards Tower of Hera here. So he'll be making the Hera play. He does have the fire source, so it is clearable. But it looks like, yeah, Bonta got our first crystal at 26 minutes. And we see Solsky now kind of disappointed with that Misery Mire run. He didn't really get anything in there of value.
Yeah, he's probably not necessarily happy with himself at that point in time, but that's perfectly fine. Yeah, as Asder is saying in chat, I tend to agree with him. Right now, the world is completely opened up to them, and there doesn't appear to be any good options, except maybe Tower of Hera, which we have Shady Force in right now, because it is one of the, even more than that, it's one of the 5/6 crystals, so you're going to have to clear it out anyway. You can full clear it. You're doing great.
And Solsky picking up his Fire Rod in Desert. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there's so many options, and the seed really isn't certainly pointing them in a single direction. So none of the choices make a great standout. Oh.
And a mushroom. Okay.
So we get our first fetch quest of the day.
I do love me some fetch quests. Oh no. Oh no, Bonta's actually abandoning the rest of Skull Woods. Based on what we know from Blaine, that's where the flippers are. That may not be good for Bonta there.
Yeah, that might cost him. As we see Shady take down Troll Norm with absolutely no trouble with that Tempered Sword.
And it looks like our second item might actually be in the Tower of Hera basement, and Shady is going to go back for it. Chat saying that Bonta may have actually picked up the flippers and then mirrored out. So we're going to, again, double check his menu. That's fine.
Yeah, there's so much happening with all four runners right now, and the races become so divergent, it's hard to track who's all got what. Beautiful, beautiful kill there by Solsky on the Landmos.
And there's the second item, just 20 rupees. Solsky is so far leaning heavily on the pendant dungeons. He did his early Misery Mire run, then he cleared Desert Palace. Desert was good for Fire Rod. Misery Mire was just kind of a waste of time, unfortunately.
And our item in Basement Hera is Piece of Heart. So the next question is, what is the mushroom going to bring us?
Well, Shady is going to show us right away. Meanwhile, Bonta's in, an alternate universe right next door. He's going to see what's on Catfish right over here. Then mirror over, I imagine we might get a check to see the Zora and everything else that's over in this neck.
But it looks like the mushrooms were only used to make some bombs. And chat, I agree with you. This is probably one of the most open-ended seeds I've seen in a long time.
Early Mitts does that, though. Early Mitts unlocks so much of the game. About the only thing we haven't found that could unlock even more is, I wouldn't say the hammer, but we now have access to the east side of Dark World with the flippers. So, man, I mean, we have access to just about everything, and we got it so quickly. It is interesting to watch all four of these runners. I wonder how everyone else is doing, too, because there's really no rhyme or reason for it at this point. Your normal sort of routing is thrown completely off.
Absolutely. I mean, really, the only things we're missing that open up a lot of checks are the hammer and the hook shot. At the same time, I'm sure these runners are all awaiting the bow so that they can get both Eastern Palace and Pod done.
Well, I mean, they can't expressly knock out Pod until we have the hammer. And, yeah.
Good point. Yes, they do need hammer for Pod.
Swamp Palace is an option now that we have access to the flippers, though, which would be interesting. That would be, as the kids are wont to say these days, a hecka gamble.
Yes, a hecka gamble.
The kids don't actually say that. I made that up. I'm sorry.
I was just running with you. I'm like, I'll just go along with the joke. I'm also old, so I wouldn't know. So we see everyone kind of cleaning up each other's checks at this point. We see Solsky going through Swamp. We see Shady going through Desert. Banta going through Tower of Hera. And, well, Blaine is actually kind of giving us some of our more one-off checks in Dark World. He's going to probably go Catfish and then do the same routing that Banta did going up to Zora.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing that we're running into right now is because everything opened up to us and then so few things paid off, everyone's going to start doing the same checks that each other did. So we're going to see a lot of these runners kind of running over each other's footsteps right now as they start clearing other things. Skull Woods being clearable is good. Tower of Hera being clearable is good. No one has cleared both of those. Shady Force also has at least 2 crystal dungeons done at this point with Tower Hera and Thieves Town, which Thieves Town is also always one of those kind of, I don't know, feel like you just get it out of the way as soon as you get into the Dark World.
We saw Banta there get trolled by the Troll Dorm. Poor Banta gets trolled again. Trolldorm just not being nice to him today.
Trolldorm's ever nice? I mean...
Sure, just Bring Butter Sword in. Trolldorm is very nice then.
That's. I mean, that's how I like my crab legs, but I didn't think that Trolldorm was a crustacean.
I don't know. I bet he'd be delicious with some butter, maybe a little oregano.
Now I'm hungry. Dang it.
Now I want crab legs.
50 internet points to anyone in chat who can get crab legs delivered to us. Thank you.
I'll double that. I'll give 100 internet points to someone who gets them delivered to us.
Oh.
I've been saving up my internet points for a rainy day.
Meanwhile, yeah, we're continuing these etc. checks. The next thing I have to think that's coming is a Palace of Darkness or a Swamp Palace check. One of those two seems to be a good thing. Now, we mentioned it earlier, with hints being disabled, man, Ice Palace is just a whole lot less attractive. Because normally, during the dailies, the hints, there are 3 different hints in Ice Palace, which at least helps justify how long that dungeon can possibly be. But without the hints, man, I just feel really bad about going into Ice Palace at all.
Absolutely, the items are so spread out, and the dungeon is so much travel and backtracking that you never feel like you can really route it efficiently. The other thing we could see is possibly an Eastern Palace check.
Something. I feel like we're going to need a bit of a gamble whatever is going to happen next, because there's a lot of things that we just haven't checked. Oh, Blaine might be showing us Hobo, which we haven't actually seen yet, I don't think.
Kid Umbra, the flippers were in Skull Woods. We had Sword on Sick Kid, Sword on Bonk Rocks, and Sword... Where was the first sword?
Link's house, actually.
Oh, that's right, it was Link's house.
Oh, and Blaine, yep.
Yeah, let's say here's Blaine making that Palace of Darkness dip. As we see everyone's favorite extortionist monkey.
Oh, that monkey. All right, so Boyne's going to show us right away whether this dungeon is actually bow locked. If this first treasure chest ends up being not a key, then we are intended to have the bow when we first get in. And it's the big key, which isn't enough to get us through the front door. Now, Blaine, I think, has a potion, and he's going to be able to do the bottle glitch to get through the normal area where you're required to do. And do you happen to know the mechanics behind the bottle glitch, or would you like me to explain it?
Please explain it. I don't know the mechanics of most of the glitches, unfortunately.
Okay, so when you use a bottle, it somehow, as you're in this south room, it kind of breaks the camera from being in a fixed lock position in the mimic room to being centered on you. So what ends up happening is that room has a condition, and every room where you have to kill all the enemies in it has a condition where it just checks to see if the enemies are on screen or not. It doesn't actually check to see if you kill 3 enemies and there's 3 enemies in the room. So all you have to do is move them off the screen. And by breaking the camera and having it centered on you instead of centered on, being able to move around the room normally, what that enables you to do is manipulate the mimics to just walk off screen and the room registers as, oh yeah, all the enemies are gone, and opens the door for you.
That's actually really cool. I kind of have to wonder though, how do people discover all these glitches and tricks?
Lots of boredom and experimentation is what I'm told.
That would explain it.
To be fair, that one is still a relatively new glitch that happened. I think it's even less than 2 years old. And there's our fourth sword.
So we got a lot of fast swords in this seed, and I'm sure that's actually going to be a good feeling, because that means a lot of the bosses they're going to have to go back and do are going to be very, very quick to take care of. Now, as we see Blaine clearing out the dark maze, we do have to remember that all of this is technically out of logic, because he was supposed to have the bow before going in here. So anything he finds of value is technically going to still be locked behind that bow.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, I don't think we've really found... Uh-oh.
A shovel. So we got our second fetch quest.
So Solski's actually in Eastern Palace right now. I haven't seen him pick anything of note up yet, but it'll be interesting to see if something is here. Cape? Okay.
Interesting. With that and half magic, Hammer will get a spike cave. And Shovel gave us silvers.
Which... nice! Not thrilling, but nice. I think I'd rather have the bow first before the silvers.
Yeah, that's my question. If we have silver arrows, why can't we just use them to, stab enemies?
Because game mechanics.
Darn you, game logics. We did get a shield as well in Eastern Palace.
And yeah, Eastern Palace is effectively empty at this point in time, which everyone in chat is screaming, Ice Palace has got to at least be the source of our next progression. There's a couple other overworld locations we haven't seen yet. I haven't seen Desert Ledge checked. I haven't seen Cave 45 checked. Those could still be options. I haven't seen Swamp Palace yet either. We have at least the front half of that.
Desert Palace, Desert Ledge was rupees, and so was K45.
Oh, well. Meh.
So at this point, yeah, I really think it's either going to be Swamp Palace or Ice Palace.
All right, Chad. Let's have a conversation here. And I want you to show your work here. I want to know where you think progression is. It going to be in Swamp Palace, Ice Palace, both, and what are you hoping to find in each of those?
All right, so it looks like Banta is has decided that his progression might just be in Swamp Palace. So we're gonna see some of them Swamp Palace checks. Zardia, I'm afraid not. There can be no hammer in Spike Cave.
Yeah, the pedestal is not yet dead, not by a long shot. In fact, the only thing right now that cannot be on the pedestal, I think logically you need the hammer to get through Ice Palace, so it cannot be the hammer, and we need the Cane of Samaria to get through Misery Mire. So I think those are the only. And depending on how the key logic plays out in Ice Palace, the hook shot, because Ice Palace key logic has always confuzzled me.
Ice Palace key logic is just confusing because of the number of doors that go to the same rooms and things like that, and the drop downs. I still can't wrap my head around the key logic for that dungeon.
Okay, I'm seeing chat say hammer. Was that on Bonta? Did he get the purple chest?
Hammer and
Oh.
Swamp.
Oh God. Oh.
First chest in Swamp was Hammer.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
You know, at least it's not all the way in the back of Swamp.
That's actually pretty significant for Bonta there, because that's a check that not a lot of people have the brass to make. That was a gutsy one, and I mean, it paid off. It paid off in spades, and I don't know a whole lot of runners who are going to make that call. Well played, Bonta. That was a high risk, high reward play, and it paid off.
Oh, yes, that's right. Hammer. In order to get deeper in there, you must have Hammer. So I always forget that. In fact, that cost me a seed. Just this week, it cost me a seed because of one of the hint tiles. At the same time here, now we see Bonta taking that hammer to Eastern Death Mountain.
In terms of chest density, East Death Mountain, if you can combine it also with your checks on Dark Death Mountain, is the most dense area in the entire game. There's just a ton of checks that you can make up here. So I do not blame him one iota for this.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, Light World alone, there's 7. And I believe there is 6 in Dark World, plus Floating Island, so I think 14.
It's a ton of checks. There's just a ton of checks. Wayne now diving into Mire. We already know that that's going to be a dud check, unfortunately.
And there is Cane of Samaria in the Paradox Cave lower floor. Bonta taking that hammer and making great use of it.
And there's the hook shot. So,
oh my goodness.
And the ice rod.
Okay, so Paradox Cave is 11 out of 10 hype.
Yeah, that's the big brain play right there. Noped out of Swamp Palace. A lot of people in chat questioning him and he said, "Nah, I just don't feel like Hookshot could be here," and he is right. Right now, realistically, we're just a bow away from go mode, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Because we have all 3 pendants. We don't need Cape. Even though we do know where Cape is. Yeah, Bonta is 1 bow away from go mode at just under 50 minutes.
Here's the thing, though, and chat will be very quick to point this out. bow can absolutely be on the pedestal. And I think Chet wants that.
I kind of want it too. I think I'm with chat on that one. Bow on tablets, book on ped. That would be even more hilarious.
Oh, God.
And that Quake is absolutely necessary to get into Turtle Rock. Luckily, because of its positioning, I don't foresee any of the runners really missing it.
Not at all. And you know what? I actually love this play by Bonta right here. He's up here. He's got the tools. He's got the talent. Go into Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. And Turtle Rock does have quite a few items in it, so he's not making a bad call here. He could likely find the bow right there in Turtle Rock. But even if he doesn't, because Turtle Rock is a crystal, he's going to have to do it eventually anyway.
Yeah, knock it out while you're up here. There's nothing holding them back from being able to do it. It's all completely in logic. And there are so many checks you can make here. Yeah, let's knock it out.
Yes, plus by doing it now, he's finishing off Death Mountain so that the only thing he has left is Ganon's Tower.
The question really becomes, how long are all these other runners going to put off doing a single dip into Swamp Palace for one treasure chest? That's going to be a last location check. It's got to be a last location check for almost all of them. Bonta was part crazy for taking it. It was a low percent play that absolutely worked out in his favor, and I just don't know when everyone else is going to get to it.
Exactly. I can't logically see any of the other runners saying, "Oh yeah, let's go check one chest in Swamp Palace instead of all these other places." I mean, even when they've exhausted pretty much all their other possibilities, I foresee them half completing crystal dungeons before they do one item check in Swamp.
Shady, meanwhile, making an Ice Palace play. Uh-oh, this is the other place we haven't seen. So we're going to have to keep an eye on different corners here.
Quick side note, I do love that the Mog sprite turns into Celeste when it gets hit by the bunny bee.
Do you know what the Celeste sprite turns into when it gets hit by the bunny bee?
Please tell me it doesn't turn into Mog.
It does not. Even better.
What does it turn into?
Opera scene Celeste.
That is so perfect. Good old Maria.
Meanwhile, back in the race, we have Shady Force in Ice Palace, Bonta over here. Oh, Solski making the play.
Solski might just close the gap very quickly. He does have 3 crystal dungeons down as well. And Mimic Cave bringing a whole lot of nothing.
Question in chat is Thieves Town dead, or could Bo be in the big chest? Thieves Town is dead. We've cleared it out. We've determined through process of elimination the item in the big chest is the compass.
And we got Powder in from Banta in Turtle Rock.
Solski also getting the hammer and saying, "Nah, fam, I'm good."
Yep, I'm done in here. I'm gonna go somewhere else now. And he goes immediately to Death Mountain. So he's like, yeah, I think 14 items is a pretty good number of items to check.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those locations that every rando runner, they're just planning. It's like, when's the best time to make this? And it's the only location at this point in time that hasn't been just thoroughly cleaned out.
If I'm Solski, though, when I see that hammer, I've got to look at Swamp Palace and just be like, really?
And here, I think Shady actually, I think he got all three items, or he left for some other reason.
No, he got all 3 items.
Bonta, no bow so far. I haven't been counting items, so I don't know. Laser Bridge. There is an item on Trinex.
There should be an item on Trinex yet, yes. So maybe Trinex is holding our bow.
Oh, and also he didn't have the hammer, so he couldn't really get much further in Ice Palace.
So we see Shady heading into Misery Mire now, and we see Stolsky doing his Dark Death Mountain checks. As we see Banta finishing up with Trinex, now on second stage of Trinex. As we all await the Bloomerang.
As I like to tease chat, it is the inferior boomerang.
So mean to say that.
I know.
Okay.
So Spike Cave is what we're hearing. Chat saying head Spike Cave, or there's also a possibility in Swamp Palace, because that's an option now as well. Bonta did not check Spike Cave while he was in the neighborhood. He is going right to Swamp Palace, it looks like. Which I like, because not only can we do that, but also as soon as we finish Swamp Palace, we also unlock the Pyramid Fairy, so we can go ahead and knock that check out of the way too.
Absolutely. Plus, Banta doesn't have the magic cape. He has not found that yet. So he really doesn't have a way to safely get through to do Spike Cave yet.
I mean, he's got 15 health. I think he'd be fine.
True, 15 hearts, blue mail. Yeah, he might be able to make it through with that.
Oh, we also have Magic Bat from the powder that he did get, so that's always a possibility as well.
Yep. Yeah, bare minimum for Spike Cave is 14 hearts.
All right. Meanwhile, Bonta working his way through Swamp Palace. Solsky will be doing the exact same thing that Bonta did and doing, looks like going right into Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. And I don't fault Solsky for this call at all either. I mean, it's a lot of items, and it's a crystal dungeon anyway, and it's so he's gonna have to finish it. So he might as well do it while he's here, just like we were talking about with Bonta.
Bonta making the play, knowing that, yeah, we're going to take a second and go ahead and knock out the boss. And if you happen to find the bow along the way, great. You don't have to make the rest of the checks.
As we all watch with bated breath on Bonta's screen, hoping to find the bow.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's a matter of if or when, not if, at this point in time. Just I feel like Solsky's on a very similar track at this point. He's just about a dungeon and a half behind Bonta at this point. Although, let me see. Yeah, about that.
At the same time, I mean, we could also see Solsky pick up Magic Powder here in TR and take it immediately to Magic Bat. And if Magic Bat is actually holding the bow, that could be a difference maker.
Bonta using those dash poke strats on the Argai. Love that. That's an advanced move right there. That once you get it down, it just makes the first phase of that fight fly.
Yep, and he quickly destroys Argus there for a piece of heart.
I think I saw all dungeon items, so yeah, we have 2 items over on left side swamp that Bonta is going to have to go back for unless he gambles.
And Bonta opting not to gamble. He has to feel like he's in the lead, considering when he made that when he got his hammer.
I would feel pretty dang good if I were him. Absolutely. When you make a low percent play like that and it works out, at that point your adrenaline spikes and you're just trying not to mess up the good play that you just made. I often say that in Randomizer, choosing and picking your battles is mostly about not making bad plays as much as making good plays. It's very much like golf in that sense. But that was just a good play. And if you hang on to it, you just have to kind of hang on and not let your emotions get the better of you.
Absolutely. And I mean, if he takes that advantage he got from getting the hammer on such a low percentage check and turns it into just solid, stable play, he could very well take this race.
All right. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I would say on the flip side of that coin, how do you think Solsky feels about where he found the hammer? Does he feel like he might be in the lead because of finding it, or does he feel like maybe someone did find it before him?
I don't know if you feel necessarily in the lead in Solsky's position because it was a bit of time before he did it, but I also don't think he necessarily feels too far behind either. Solsky is a very competent player, right up there with the very best of them. So, he would probably feel like, okay, that's a weird play. I made it early enough in hopes that his clean play can carry him the rest of the way, as long as he doesn't make any more errors in judgment.
Absolutely, and if that's what he's thinking, he's absolutely right, because while he may be a little behind Banta here, they're both hunting for the same thing, the bow, and it'll take exactly one play from either of them to get that. And if chat is right and bow is on pedestal, Solsky does already have one of his pendant dungeons complete.
Banta was able to get that bomb glitch in, so he was able to dash. Well done, Banta. And let's see what's on Pyramid Fairy.
As we see Solsky now heading into his Trinex fight.
There's the bow.
There's the bow. So at 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 31 seconds, Banta has officially entered go mode.
And now Blaine and Shady Force are now, I think this is last location for both of them. And there it is. Blaine looks like he is continuing on into the dungeon. Shady is thinking. And looks like he's going to keep on going too.
Oh, and we know that's definitely the wrong play, because we know where the hook shot is, and it is not in here.
I don't know if you can necessarily say it's, like, we know it's the wrong play, but given the information that they know, that, you know, it's kind of half dozen of one, six of another.
Oh, absolutely. We know it's the wrong play, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad play from their point of view.
Meanwhile, we have really, here's the deal. Banta's going to be able to go mode Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness. He hasn't really stepped foot in either of them. And as soon as he finds the big keys, he's gone. And they're right next door to each other. So he's in a very good shape right now.
Yes, he is. At this point, Solsky checking Spike Cave. Really, he has to, if he wants to win this race, he's going to have to immediately after this go and get his Pyramid Fairy. Go through Swamp Palace, knock it out, get the Pyramid Fairy, and rely on just his good overall solid play to try and catch up.
So Banta is now, he got a great Palace of Darkness setup too. And that first treasure chest being the big key, meaning, and he already had the bow when he stepped in, he was able to go through, and he found a key along the way. So he doesn't really have to even do a whole lot more.
The only other question I have is Banta good at Silverless Ganon? Because he does not have the silver arrows, and I don't foresee him going to check Dig Spot to get them.
I would be willing to bet money that all of these runners are completely competent and comfortable doing Silverless Ganon. Yes.
Solsky's going through Ice Palace now, trying to find that bow still. And every one of these plays is Banta is just getting closer and closer to Ganon's tower.
Yeah, Bonta knows exactly what he has to do. Solsky, I mean, this isn't necessarily it's bad in our perspective because we know exactly where the bow is. What confuses me a little bit is that he opted. I think he's gambling hard that something is in one of the pendant dungeons that is going to be necessary. Because remember, he did the early Misery Mire dip. He did uh, he did the early dip and cleared out Desert Palace. So maybe that's just a mindset that he's in right at the moment. But what's confusing to me is that he can go ahead and clear out Swamp Palace, but he opted instead to do this first, which is a little bit confusing in my mindset. But it's got to be just he has just this feeling that something's in a pendant dungeon.
Absolutely, and it's a very confusing play, being that the only thing he's missing is bow. I don't know. To me, it would seem like he should clear out the crystal dungeons that he knows he can finish first before doing these kind of pendant checks. Because I believe it was in an interview with Aussie 101, and he said you should, whenever you can, clear out crystal dungeons. If you can finish them, just simply clear them out.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And if you have available to do a crystal dungeon and clear it out, absolutely do it. Bonta is still looking for that big key. I think it's in its vanilla location, maybe.
I believe you're right.
Oh no, he already has it. So he just picked up that chest along the way. He's like, oh, maybe the silvers are here.
So we're getting ever closer to the Ganon's Tower game. Ganon's Tower game. That's hard to say. As we see Bonta now just about to take on the Armos Knight.
Oh, couldn't quite get the quick kill on Armos.
And Armos giving the wonderfully vanilla heart container there. And we got people already throwing up numbers in chat.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get our verbiage out of the way. So, ladies and gentlemen and other folks in the Legend of Zelda randomizer community, we will be playing the Ganon's Tower Big Key Guessing Game. Just to let you know the rules, there are 22 item locations in Ganon's Tower that can possibly contain the Ganon's Tower Big Key. 1 through 22. Go ahead, get your guesses in chat. Whoever is closest will give you a shout out here on the live stream to be immortalized forever on Twitch and YouTube and wherever this video is going to be posted. So get your guesses in. Everyone who guesses absolutely correctly, and otherwise it's whoever is closest. None of those Price is Right rules. We're not going to closest without going over stuff. Just guess. Hughes. I mispronounced that again.
That's alright, it's not an easy name to pronounce.
I feel so bad. Anyway, what's your guess, sir?
Oh, you know what? With the way the big keys have been dropping in some of these dungeons, I'm gonna go with 1.
Wow. Okay. I did a community race last night where my number 9 that I usually pick was picked, and we got it. So I have to start over from scratch. So I'm gonna go with we're gonna go with 7.
We have a few people saying Torch or 22 or Someone said 23. We have a 26. I don't think you understand the rules to this game very well.
I thought I did a great job explaining it, guys. If you're that confused, I am happy to disqualify you.
Well, my 1 was wrong.
Solsky is back in Misery Mire, meanwhile. Oh, he's gonna do, he might be doing just a blind ped check at this point.
I kind of have to wonder why he would make this blind ped check play.
Remember what we said at the very beginning of this race. It was all about
Taking the risk.
Taking a risk and making the gamble that no one else was willing to make. And, you know, it's possible. It's absolutely possible that it was going to be this.
Even so, with so many locations, I can't foresee this. I can't see why he would still think this is even a reasonably good play, even with the risk to reward. This is like going to Vegas and betting your entire life savings on 00.
Are you saying that you would not recommend that?
No, especially not at the craps table.
All right, so we've had 11 so far, and this will be number 12. Meanwhile, Solsky downs Vitreous.
So I have a feeling he's about to go do the blind ped.
And what was that? Was that 13?
Looked like 13 to me.
All right, let's come up here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Everyone. Oh my gosh.
Dimensive with the very first guess of 13.
Wow, very good, Dimensive. GG's, man. Yeah, and I'm not seeing anyone else who guessed 13, so Dimensive. Internet high five for you. Good job.
Kays also guessed 13. And I'm sure I butchered that name.
Oh, yep, there is it. Okay. Hayes to you too. Internet high five. Well done. And Solsky did blind pull the pedestal, and he is upset.
I can't understand why. I mean, it was 20 whole rupees. And we see Banta now going through the gauntlet. And it all started with that single item Swamp Palace check. And Banta just took that and turned it into just an absolute runaway now with this race.
I think more than that is it's one of those. It was one of those plays that was high risk, high reward. You know, maybe it's not too much time if you're in the area. I've seen some people argue that you might as well go ahead and check it because of how much of a reward it is. And in this case, it absolutely paid off for Banta just in spades because he has not looked back from the lead from this point on.
Absolutely, Bill. Bill McD says the only thing worse for Solsky would be finding the book. Yes, but book is in GT. Serger, you're very likely right. Bonta may end up with a sub 130.
I mean, and that's just ridiculous. Randomizer is not an easy game. There's so many different things that you have to take into account for it. So it's very impressive to get even a sub 2 hour, if you want to be perfectly honest. But for the competitive scene, a sub 130 is just mind blowing.
Bonta deciding he wanted to hop down and start again.
Solsky making another one of those low percent plays, going only, I don't know if he didn't count his items. If he just paused the screen, he would know.
That's a compass in there. Dimensive is right. It's a 0% play.
Meanwhile, Bonta is on his Aga 2 fight. This should go relatively quick. And even once he gets to Ganon, you know, I have every confidence that he'll be able to do Silverless game.
Absolutely. My only question is everyone's saying it's a sub 130 seed for Bonta here. It really all depends on how his Silverless Ganon goes.
So chat's pointing out that Bonta didn't open the chest. Okay, I mean, the last treasure chest is fine. It would be nice to try to hunt for silvers, but I can see feeling like you need every second. Dash strats here.
Yep, absolutely dash strats here. It looks like Solsky's headed back into Swamp now.
And Blaine and Shady are also there as well. Did you find the silver arrows in the light world? No, we didn't, sir. Well, he didn't. We did.
And actually, Bonta didn't even get the shovel.
Where was the shovel anyway?
Shovel was in, I want to say, Pod? Yeah, I think it was, it was in Pod Big Chest.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yep.
And Bonta is actually having a great silverless Ganon fight. He's just hitting everything. And
Absolutely.
Okay, there's the explosion.
I feel sorry for ever questioning Bonta's Silverless Ganon because that was beautiful.
Oh my god. So folks in chat, Bonta finishes officially in this race in first place with an official SRL time of 1:24.47. I point this out because specifically, a lot of folks were trying to say he needs to open some more treasure chests, but guess what? OS 101 finished in second place with a time of 124.48. 1 second behind Bonta. Oh my goodness. GG's to Bonta.
It doesn't get much closer than that. GG's to Bonta.
Let's see if we can get him in here, if he's willing to have a conversation with us about this. 1 second. It wasn't on the restream, but Os is his own runner in his own regards, is very, very fast. So a 1 second win for Bonta. Let's see if we can get him to talk to us first.
We see Solsky here finishing up Argus. So now he has access to Pyramid Ferry, and you have to consider that's probably where he's going next. Because we see Boyne taking the big bomb to Pyramid Ferry right now, so he'll be getting his bow in just a moment.
Yep, all three of those guys, Boyne, Shady Force, and Solsky. This is going to be a neck and neck and neck race for the remainder of this. Oh my goodness.
This has been a crazy seed. And while we see them all traveling to get their bow, I'd like to bring up that next weekend, Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we do have the Metroid Zelda Relay Race. And it's 6 events long. We're doing Metroid 1 randomizer, then a Zelda 1 randomizer, then a Super Metroid randomizer, then a Link to the Past randomizer, then Metroid 1, Zelda 1 crossover randomizer, and finishing up with a Super Metroid Link to the Past crossover randomizer. It's going to be a long one, so get your drinks, get your snacks, and settle in. It's going to be a heck of a relay race.
I look forward to that one myself.
I'm hoping to get into at least commentate one of the events.
What is most amazing to me, and Chad has alluded to this, is Solsky is right there with these other two guys, and he's cleared 3 more dungeons than them. That's just bonkers to me. right, in the meantime, Dwayne is already on his Moldorm fight, or as I've heard some people call him in chat recently, Dino Kitty, which, okay.
I'm assuming you mean Helmasaur, not Moldorm.
Oh, Helmasaur, right. Derp.
That's all right. With as crazy as the seat has been, my brain is still pretty confrazzled by all of this.
Dimensive is right. Oops. Oops, all dungeons.
Solski's going for 100% exactly.
Oops, all dungeons is my favorite mode, though. So Shady and Solski, or Shady is right there. Solski is finishing his Dino Kitty fight. Yeah, this is just going to be a foot race from these three at this point. Professor Renderer, what's Bonta's placement overall? He finished in first by 1 second. That's the confidence that you have to have, skipping those last few chests if you don't have silvers. He just said, I got this. And it showed. He had a very clean silverless Ganon fight. And he won because of it. I would not... I mean... I would want to go back and double check Os, and I don't want to say anything necessarily negative about Os's run, but I have a hard time imagining a cleaner silverless Ganon than what Bonta ran. So it would not surprise me if Os entered the Ganon fight slightly ahead and Bonta made up the difference. Oh, Os is in chat. He had a bad Agatu fight, but he had silvers. Okay. Yeah, that would change quite a bit.
Oh, people are saying that Bonta had said before the race he was not going to interview.
Oh, well then. All right, so the remaining three runners, Blaine, Shady Force, and Solski. Blaine about to enter the Dark World. Shady Force climbing Death Mountain, and Solski finishing off his final crystal right now. Left side, right side gambles are going to come into play here because remember, Bonta started, he went full right side. If someone goes full left, they'll actually be able to get to it considerably faster to that big key. So it'll be interesting to see the routing choices made here.
It's definitely still very much a race between these three as to who will finish first between them, because it's gonna all be about that routing in Ganon.
And it looks like Dwayne is actually going to be going full right side as well. All right, so Shady is going to enter. Meanwhile, Blaine he might actually get clear of his entire right side gamble before Solsky actually gets into the dungeon, so we'll see. Shady Force starts on the right and mirrors over. Okay. That puts Blaine and Shady very, very close. Now, Shady, we'll see if there's some new strategies that actually start you on the right, take you over to the left, and then go back to the right. It's supposed to be more item dense. So we'll see if Shady Force ends up doing something like that, which would put him back behind Blaine. But we shall see.
Absolutely, and we see Solsky here. Looks like he might be doing full right, but he might be doing the same thing Blaine did as well.
Nope, he is sticking to his low percent strats.
Going for that tile room.
Hey, you know what? Big shout out to Solsky for, he went into this race clearly with a strategy of saying, I am going to do the low percent plays. And you can't say he didn't do that for most of this race. It looked crazy from us because we knew where everything was, but I could see the method to the madness of what Solsky was trying to do. And this just encompasses that. He wanted to make the low percent plays to pay off big. Unfortunately, it didn't necessarily work for this seed.
Yeah, but absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I do see the method to his madness here because, as we said at the beginning, one lucky play like that can absolutely break a seed open and give you a huge advantage.
All I know is I don't know a whole lot of other runners who would be able to almost 100% a seed and be in Ganon's Tower at 138.
Yeah, with a completely blind ped check. That's kind of crazy.
Meanwhile, everyone else is starting or through their gauntlet fight.
Yep, Wayne in the first ice room here, while Shady just now entering the room before first ice.
Oh, Shady Force and Blaine are now, they were in the same room. Oh my goodness. They are so close.
If this was an MMO, they'd be hugging.
Blaine with the cleaner Land Mode 2 fight, though.
But Shady could absolutely make it up with a cleaner Moldorm fight, or a cleaner Iga 2, or even a cleaner Ganon.
I don't know about that. We were seeing a little bit earlier Blaine practicing his hover strats before the race. I think everyone tune in to Blaine when he hits the Moldorm 2. I think you're going to see something special. Either that or I'm going to embarrass him. So it'll be entertaining either way.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, either way, it's going to be fun.
All right, Shady is just a room and a half or so behind at this point in time, and yep, here we go. All right, Blaine, entertain us.
Chad also bringing up a good point. Shady does not have silvers, whereas Boyne does.
Oh,
And Boyne lets us all down.
I am disappointed.
I believe Hercules said it best when he just said, disappointed!
All right, so let's see. Blaine is being very efficient here with his Aga 2. Yeah, I think that was a 2-3 or a 3-2, and then one.
I believe it was 2-3-1.
Shady is right behind him. Meanwhile, Solsky is on land mode 2. Worth mentioning, Dwayne does have silvers too, so he's going to finish quite fast.
Absolutely. We're going to see a scary fast cannon here. We're going to make very quick bacon.
So many teleports. One thing to note, and this is something that some people in the randomizer community know, but not everyone, is that in these sorts of Ganon fights where there's always going to be the same script for every runner. Like, the teleport numbers are always going to be the same. The blue balls for Aga are always going to be the same. Aga's placement around the screen is always going to be the same. That way, the randomness of those fights are never going to be what determines the course of a race. Dwayne, meanwhile, crosses the finish line. Dwayne officially finishes in 11th place with a time of 1:43.21. I'll read off some of these other finishers here. Mikan finished in third at 1:29.54. One Up 40 at 1:32.35. Scary Olive in fifth, 1:35.04. Illis 24 in sixth at 1:38.22. D Demolisher 1 in 7th at 1:39.05. Jet 082 in 8th at 1:39.37. Kinup in 9th at 1:41.04. Matt 7898 in 10th at 1:41.16. And then Dwayne at 1:43.21. So GG's to all of the runners there finishing so far.
But Chad having officially decided that Solsky is the winner of this race on the sole fact that he hovered.
Okay. GG, Solsky.
I saw it right away, chat. Don't worry, I saw the hovers.
Shady Force does finish in 12th place, just behind Dwayne, with a time of 1:44.43.
GG, Dwayne.
Hey everybody, GG's.
So let's talk about this seed. We have a pretty good idea what what caused everyone most of the headaches here.
Yeah, can we talk about something else instead of the seed, please?
Okay, how's the weather there?
Honestly,
You
it's
doing all right?
probably pretty quick to talk about the seed. There's one thing. You do the thing and you're fine. You don't do the thing and you're gonna have a problem. So it's just one of those things. You can't play this game without getting some of these seeds. So you just kind of accept it and move on to the next one.
Absolutely. It was such a wild seed from the get-go, too, because of all the items early on that just kind of opened the whole game up almost immediately.
Yeah, there was a good amount of stuff early. It wasn't a bad start. Boots were relatively early. Mirror was right after Boots. That's always a nice kind of chain. Unfortunately, I didn't even think it was really that bad when I did eventually find Hammer, just because there were still so many items left out there. If any one of them was kind of in a tough spot, then all those checks that I did before getting to Hammer might, be checks that everybody else is doing too. It's just everything was then right on the mountain. So it was kind of unrecoverable if you didn't get into Swamp as early as possible, unfortunately.
Absolutely, that was kind of the moment, was when Banta picked up his hammer and just immediately ran it to Death Mountain. He really just never gave up the lead from that point on.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I was actually surprised. I think Banta finished as I was finishing up Swamp. And I actually said out loud to myself, well, it can't be Pyramid Fairy. He must have just gotten Hammer really soon, and it's probably something like Hammer Pegs has the bow. So I almost skipped out on Doom Pyramid Fairy because I just didn't believe that that's where it was going to be. But at that point, I was sort of in, might as well just do everything because I'm going to lose this by 20 minutes no matter where it is. So just really, really super interested to watch this one back, not for my play, but to see what Banta did. Check out Ase and see how they ended up getting, outside of just getting the early hammer, it's not, you can still miss out on Fire Rod. You can still miss out on the bow, where the bow was, if you really want to get really aggressive after you find that hammer. So it's hats off to them, routing this extraordinarily well. Really hard to see how anybody would have a better time than what the two of them put up.
Absolutely. We're also joined by Shady Force and Solski. GG's both of you. GG Shady Force and GG Solski.
Yo, thanks very much.
Man, Wayne beat me. Oh, good game,
Yeah,
guys.
you're never gonna live that one down.
Nah, I full cleared though, so I'm okay at the time.
Yeah,
I'm okay too. This was not. That doesn't seem like three of us held up our end on the restream here.
I need to find out where I lost 20 seconds to Wayne, because that's the real race here.
The silver arrows. That's all.
Yeah, probably. Where were they, by the way?
I may have sequence broken all the way through pod and got a shovel and ran straight to that shovel saying, I hope this is something good.
Oh, yeah.
It was not.
I remember picking that up and I thought, no progression is going to be on the shovel because of all the sequence breaking to get it. That's why I just skipped the shovel.
I skipped pod entirely, actually. I got the key and I just bailed. Just because I loved it so much. And
see, that's why I did it. I never really liked to potion glitch through pod, but there were still so many items out there. I thought there was a decent chance of just, hey, there's something in pod. I'm gonna get it when I get the bow later anyway, and there was nothing.
I think with East Death Mountain, Dark World Death Mountain still available, and of course Turtle Rock. Once you had that one item, either a hammer or a hookshot, I felt like that was going to contain the majority of the seed, and it was all East Death Mountain, which was crazy.
Serves me right. I should have stuck to my never potion glitch.
Yeah,
guns, but
I kind of regretted it as I was doing it. But I mean, the bow or the hook shot could have been the thing still in pod, and it was just like the cane or something in the mountain or the ham. We don't know that there isn't still progression in pod.
And to be clear, really not going to make a difference in my score in this one if I did all of pod or not. So I can't really get too upset over, I shouldn't have sequence broken that. Really, the only chance I even had, the way I routed it, to get that hammer sooner would have been like before ice. So even if I had gone there as soon as it made sense to get the hammer, I don't even think I would have been within 10 minutes of the lead on this one anyway. So not too many regrets. Just this is the kind of seed. These qualifiers, there's been thrown up a lot of seeds like this that are just really, really ugly from what I've seen in the couple that I've played too. So it's been a minefield navigating through these qualifiers for a lot of players.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to ask specifically Solsky, because he just about hundoed this one. It felt like Solsky, like you felt like you were behind most of the time, so you were making a lot of really low percent plays, blind pulling the pedestal, doing tile room first. No,
I didn't feel behind. I think the main thing that irked me in this seed, we'll start with that first, is just the fire rod, because I got it so early versus like West Dark World and everything. I was like hoping like, oh man, that's gonna be so hard to route in, and then all of a sudden it was like hammer and swamps. I was like, well, everyone has the fire rod now. But I feel like I just kind of played the qualifier. I already had my throwaway race, so I just chose the highest risk, highest reward option, which was Ice Palace 2 pedestals. So it didn't turn out, and then the Galaxy Brain play to Thieves Town Big Chest for the Compass didn't pay out either. So that was a bit of a miscount.
We were all wondering, we're like, did Solsky miscount that?
Oh, I had a good chuckle, man. Like there's zero salt through this race, and it was just, I had a really, really good laugh when I saw that. I was like, come on, man.
Almost as big a galaxy brain as going through Dark Escape to reach the back of Escape with no glove and finding out you don't have any bombs. That was a fun one.
Oh man.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ouch.
that was a sad moment in stream as well, was when you got back there and everyone kind of realized, wait, you don't have any bombs.
Yeah, everybody
And then
probably
you're
realized before I did, and then I was saying, well, there's like 5 rats here. Maybe one of them will give me a bomb. But I don't think I probably would have actually done what it sounds like you did, Solsky, after Swamp. I probably would have said the only chance I've got is if this is like Green Pendant or Pedestal, and I probably would have headed over to Ice too. But given that as I'm finishing Swamp, I'm seeing people finish, that kind of metagamed that away from me.
Yeah, for me, I felt like if I just went to Swamp, it would have been like top 5, top 7, maybe. I think top 5 would have been pretty safe, but it was like, I got to play the qualifier to get like top 3, right, to keep in it, because there's already guys that have 2 wins.
Yeah,
and it's only top 3,
different.
so it's super, super cutthroat. So again, that's kind of driving the strategy there, and I felt like I did everything right. And just because it didn't work out, that's like you mentioned earlier, that's random. Sometimes you just you can't get the right play, and it just keeps it away from you. So that's the game.
Absolutely. And Solsky, I just wanted to say that, yeah, overall, I think your choice there to just do those very high risk, high reward checks to try and turn the whole game around was absolutely brilliant. I mean, did you kind of decide that relatively early, or was it the moment you got hammer that really made you just decide, okay, I'm gonna do all the high risk checks and hope for the best here?
Not so much all of them, but sort of. Early game, kind of a little bit of risk, not too much. But once I got hammer, I knew it was like a reset. Like everyone was like back at square one, and the 15 minutes there would have kind of determined where you place. And I kind of evaluated that, and just again, I thought about it for a good minute when I was kind of running around. I was just like, I just gotta push for it. So that's about it. I don't think there's really too much more to it.
Okay, well, yeah, like I said, it was still very good to see that, because yes, we knew where you needed to go next, but from your position you didn't, and it made a lot of sense looking back on it now that yes, it was a wonderful idea to try that. So just good routing in general, good thought process there.
All right, so thanks for the commentary and everything, guys. I just have to dip into the next race, so I'll catch you guys later.
All right, good luck.
Thanks again, and good game, guys.
GG, dude.
Yo, GG.
All right, there are a few other things going on the Speed Gaming Network here. Wanted to make sure everyone's aware of. The Zelda 1 Week 1 qualifier is just started a few minutes ago over on Speed Gaming 2, so go ahead and go check that one out. There's a Super Mario Brothers 3 randomizer weekly race going on over on Speed Gaming 4. And there's a Splatoon 2 tournament going on over on Speed Gaming 5. Don't forget, there's also another qualifier tomorrow at noon Eastern. Don't know what channel that's going to be on yet, I don't believe. But, it looks like that one is also going to be right here on the main Speed Gaming channel. So make sure to follow Speed Gaming, the original through Speed Gaming 6, in order to keep up with all the different speed gaming races that we have going on the network. Also, one last shout out to Sean P19 and White Wolfos for doing all the tracking behind the scenes. Thank you guys so much. Other than that, do we have anything else to talk about?
Just a quick shout out to our runners. We have Shady Force Games, Banta, Solsky, and Blaine. You can follow all of them as well. White Wolfos dropping the links in chat there. And then, of course, myself and Vitasia for the commentary here. You can follow our streams along with the trackers. Again, thank you, White Wolfos, for dropping those in chat. But I think that's all the shout-outs we have.
All right, sounds good. From all of us here at Speed Gaming Network, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next game, guys. Next race. Have a good one.
Yeah, take it easy, everyone, and keep it fast.